What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Making It with Brady Martin. Today we are talking to Jae Head. You might recognize him from The Blindside and a couple of other movies, a couple big movies. But yeah, so how are you, Jay?
I'm doing pretty good, Brady. I'm excited to be here.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I'm glad you agreed to come on the show. I was like, man, who do I know that's fucking awesome? And I thought of you, so yeah.
Well,
Uh,
good.
yeah, I'm glad you agreed. Um, so I kind of want to just dive into it. Um, I mean, we might as well just talk about The Blind Side for now. So how was filming that? I know you were pretty young when you did that.
Yeah, I was 12 when I did it. I think I was playing nine, my character, and shooting a movie like that. We when we were shooting that, we had no idea. Like we were shooting this thing, going, yeah, it's probably gonna be, it'll probably be a good, decent movie. People will probably like it. And then when it blew up like it did, it was like we did not expect that at all. And so working on that movie was like a dream come true, and it felt like it didn't feel real. Like I was working with people that I'd only ever seen on TV, and they wanted to talk to me just as much as I wanted to talk to them, and I couldn't believe it.
That's
And
cool.
it's just every day I made memories that I'll never forget.
Yeah, how was Sandra Bullock? Because she's like one of those
She's
A list.
she's as good as advertised. I mean, she is just as perfect in the way she just flips it on and flips it off the when she wants to at will. It's unbelievable. uh, Definition of like the most perfect woman that you would want to be around. Like she was all around. She was down to jack around and have a good time and make jokes and all that, but the second they said, okay, hey, let's start getting this thing ready to go, she shifted into a work mode, and there was no fuckery allowed. And it was like we are here to do a job. And so, like, being that young, being around somebody of that caliber, it taught me that, like, if you're gonna be around, you better know the difference of when it's time to play and when it's time to work. And I learned that, pretty quick with her.
That's pretty cool. 12 isn't like young enough where you won't remember everything. So that's like a good age to be
Yeah,
doing
I
something
was
like
I
that.
was just started junior high. I was in sixth grade. Like it
Dude,
was
you must have been the coolest guy
it was
in
it was crazy. It was
Wait, are
crazy.
you from here? Are you from LA? Are you
No,
from...
no,
Dude,
I'm from Texas originally.
man, you were probably like cousins being like, "Hey, we're related."
Yeah, it was. I definitely found out about a lot of family I didn't know I had,
Yeah,
for
that's
sure.
they say happens. That's so funny. Um, how did you audition for that? Like, how did you get that role? Were you living in Texas when you got it?
I was.
Yes.
I'd auditioned through just self tape,
Hmm.
just like everybody else does. And I got a call back, and the callback was going to be in, because I guess they arranged it where I could do the callback in Austin. So I drove to Austin like 2 weeks later to do the callback. And then a week or so after that, I get the call, and they're like, hey, you're going to do another callback. Except this time, we're going to fly you to Atlanta, and you're going to fly and you're going to meet and you're going to audition in front of the director and all the producers. So I was pretty excited. I've never been to Atlanta before. Flew out there with my dad, got the audition ready. And when I walked in the audition room, there's Quentin Aaron, who had just been cast to play, Big Mike. And I didn't know he was going to be there. And so I walked in, and there he was. And so they're like, hey, y'all are going to read lines together. He's going to help you with your audition. And so he helped me and read through it. And I guess they liked what they saw because we clicked instantly. And the next day, I had just landed back in Texas from the audition. And I think I was back home for an hour. And my manager called and was like, hey, you booked it. You're leaving Sunday. And this was like Wednesday. Like, it
Damn.
was nuts. It's crazy. It went so fast. You just had no idea. Things just started picking up and going.
Yeah, and you shot that in Atlanta?
In Atlanta, yeah. I think I was
Cool.
there. Let's see. I left Easter Sunday, and I think I got back mid-June. So a few
Wow.
months, three
Few
months,
months.
months, yeah.
Damn. That's
So
cool.
just left. That was it. Middle of the school year and everything. Just bye.
How did your parents feel about that?
Oh, they were excited, but because both my parents are school teachers, they couldn't go out there with me because it was the
Mm,
middle of the school year. And so I had my grandparents, they volunteered to fly out with me. And so I stayed with them for pretty much the first, 2/3 of the shoot. And then school was over. And so my parents were able to fly out and finish it off with me.
that's cool.
And it was a good time.
Did you have any acting training before then, or was it just kind of like play pretend?
Yeah, not really. I'd never really gone to an acting class, never did anything, never as a child. We didn't have, I was from the middle of nowhere. We didn't have that. And technology wasn't where it was today. Now you can be from anywhere and you can get lessons from anywhere in the world. I can hop on and learn financing from people in India if I wanted now. But
Yeah,
back then that didn't work like that. Back then it was like you only could do what was local to you, and so we didn't have that kind of stuff. So I just watched TV growing up. I always did impressions. I always liked being the loud, crazy kid in the room, and I always just had that personality, and it just clicked and it worked.
that's funny. Yeah, because that's like, I don't know. There's definitely a culture in LA of like going to class and shit and like working really hard. But then there's also like that counterculture of like, it's just playing pretend. Like
Right.
you're just living in those circumstances for a little bit. And it's like, it's cool to hear because as a 12-year-old, like you're not like this theater trained professional who's done Broadway for since he was like 2 years old. It's like, no, just it just goes to show that film is like, you know, a mirror to real life. And it's cool that you don't have to have like, it's cool to hear that you don't have to have like tons and tons of training.
Well, I feel like my thing is like, granted, again, my first acting coach was my dad, and my dad's a football coach and a high school teacher. He doesn't know anything about acting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it was always just like the theory was, if you were there, how would you react? How would you feel if you were put yourself here? And so I see all the scene studies and stuff like that, but I feel like people that just have experiences in life are able to do the best, because if you can, we can all technically put ourselves there mentally, but if you can really say, I lived this, in some certain scenarios, it just makes it that much better. And people that go through things, they tend to be able to, especially artists, people that kind of go through stuff are able to just express it in a way that others don't. And, and that's why it comes out in such a weird but beautiful way, if that even makes sense.
That does make sense because
You know,
the way I relate to what you just said is like, um, when I'm doing a scene or whatever, and I'm like actively going through something at the moment, those
mhm.
usually tend to be the best scenes. Like the days that you don't want to show up for work are the ones that you're like, oh man, I fucking nailed that
Yeah,
because you're actively going through that shit.
going through something. And
Yeah,
it shows, they can tell, people can tell. And that's why, yeah, that's the cool thing about it is, and that's the thing is I tell people, it's like you can have as much training as you want, but at some point you got to feel something, because you can make it look cool and you can this and that, but at some point you're gonna have to feel it. And you're gonna have to feel what it feels like to be that person, and that's how you get it to truly come out.
yeah, that's cool. Um, so I know before you were 12, you didn't have, your dad was your coach or, yeah. How has your process changed over time now that you've had a little bit more life experience and whatnot?
In the end, it's very similar. I try not to overcomplicate. Overcomplicate it. I try to mentally paint a picture of what's going. What I'm reading, what I'm seeing, and then I try to put myself in there as much as I can. How would you feel if you're going to talk to this judge to let you go because you don't have any money, or whatever the situation. You got to be able to put yourself in that moment, in that situation, and say, how would you feel? How would you react? And if you can put yourself there and you can mentally let go and let yourself feel that kind of pain, something good will come out of it, and something, you'll do some great work. You know,
Yeah, that makes sense. So would you say it's a lot of figuring out how to let go?
Yeah,
Like, is
I,
that,
I feel like, yeah, letting go. And because so much of it, we as human beings, we want to control every aspect that we can. And so that's why, we kind of like, it's like you kind of feel that like tenseness, like when I'm trying my best, but it's not coming out the way I want it to come out, and it's not as good as I know it can be. It's because there's a blockage somewhere. There's somewhere you're not wanting to go somewhere. and it's a mental thing, and once you're able to, I think it's a big thing, being comfortable with you and being comfortable with who you are as a person, because then you can go in and explore those emotions because they're not going to rip you to shreds because you're comfortable with you. And you just got to be able to go in that place and like say it's okay to feel this, because once you can put yourself in that boat, in that room, it's the rest will take care of itself. That's why
So
there's so
true.
many. That's why there's so many moments in Hollywood that you say, that wasn't even in the script, because they weren't reading the script. They were telling the story. They were in the experience. They were living what was happening, and that's just what came out. And that's why we love those moments, because those are real.
Yeah,
Those aren't fake. Those aren't scripted. Nobody came up with those. Those are genuine feelings from a human to a human. That's why we like them.
I love that. That's something that Jack talked about as well. He was saying that film is just a bunch of happy accidents caught on camera. It's
Literally,
like,
I love that quote. I've never heard that, but I love that. It's true. You just happen to be rolling the tape when somebody said something beautiful. That's it.
yeah, yeah. That's one of his big things. He's a really cool. He has a lot of thoughts that like I think aren't very common to like if you only hang out in like the class scene or whatever. I think he has a lot of really cool ideas. I
Yeah.
like begged him to put his book on Audible so more people could listen to it, but we'll see. We'll see if he does it.
Yeah.
Um,
I definitely listen to it if it was on Audible for sure.
yeah. Um, so we talked about acting relating to life and whatnot. I know that you've been doing a lot of like public speaking. How did you want to talk about that for a bit?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know how what made me want to do it. I started out, I think it was 2017. I started out one random day. I just started doing videos on Instagram.
Hmm.
And they were just like little 60-second clips of a quote, a story, something to kind of get people feeling good, or looking at things a different way, and all that. I didn't expect anybody to watch it. I really mostly just started posting them because I liked the stories and I thought the stories were cool. And I was trying to post more on Instagram, so I was like, screw it, tell these stories and just see what happens. And people actually really liked it, and people started DMing me and commenting and saying, "Hey man, I needed this today, and hey, I hope these keep coming because these, and all that stuff." And I'd been doing it for a few years. I think 2 years, 3 years, probably been doing it. And somebody had reached out and was like, "Hey, have you ever considered take doing that, but like in person and doing it and speaking?" And it had never really crossed my mind. And then I kind of started looking into it and started writing a little bit and started kind of exploring it. And I actually found I actually do really enjoy it, even though I will make this comment. I think it is 5 times more horrifying than acting in a major film is getting on a stage and trying to speak to people. I never thought I had that fear until I actually did it.
I can't even imagine, man.
Like
That seems.
that is by I would take giving the hardest scene ever in front of everyone. I would much rather do that than have to speak at like a massive place, because I'd be panicking for sure.
Well, it's
But
good because you can use what you're
yeah,
talking about in your speeches.
yeah, no, 100%. And so that's how it started. And I kind of started going to like little local places and getting kind of some traction. And then, COVID happened. So everything kind of shut down for a while, but things are starting to pick back up. I'm starting to get out a little bit more, and I've really enjoyed doing it because it's like, acting is cool because I get to be whoever they want me to be, on camera. But doing the speaking stuff is cool because it's people are actually, because people always want to know, what's that guy really like? How does that guy really seem, when the camera's not rolling? And so the speaking thing is kind of more of a personal feel and personal thing I can get with people and connect to them. So I love that. And plus I love
What?
the stories.
Yeah. What is your subjects that you mostly talk about? And if you could like share that, so we have a little bit of an audience now. So what would you say to, my audience?
Well, I think I talk about different things depending on who I'm talking to, but I would say, for people that are especially people that are like, trying to do that, make the move and pull the trigger and come to Hollywood, like, people do every year. Um, I would say this is one of my favorite things that I've said to somebody because it's true. And it's something I had to realize myself. It's going to suck and it's going to be hard, but the thing you got to thing a lot of people have misunderstood is getting to act is your reward for putting up with everything else that you're going to have to go through. Because you come out to LA. LA is a tough place to be. People are cruel out here. They will not hesitate to say what's on their mind, no matter how rude it is. They're going to say it. People are going to say horrible things. You're going to have to, you know, you're going to have to be willing to put things down and focus on an audition when you have no time, you know, when you have no turnaround because you got 3 hours to get it in. You got work in 2 hours, and it's like you're trying to get it all wrapped up. Getting to act is your reward for putting up with all that. If you put up with all the stuff that you have to go through, and you know it as somebody who's lived in LA long enough, you know, it can beat the shit out of you. And once it starts beating you, it doesn't stop. And it's like you got to be willing to hold that at bay. Meanwhile, saying, okay, I'm still an actor and I'm still doing all this stuff. Because just doing the acting part is hard, but having to fight off the rest of LA is hard. And once you get to that point, maybe a casting director will click on your name and let you audition for their role. Maybe. That's the thing. And that's what I tell people is this world, this town that can make anybody anything they want to be, but it has a lot of nobodies that never went anywhere. And it's because it's a tough place to be. And it's a place that, I could do it. I just got to go there and I'll start doing some auditions. And it's like, you don't realize it. And, those auditions, you got to earn those just to get those. And those are just opportunities. And so, yeah, I would tell, I just tell people, understand that getting to do but it's if you truly love it, you'll stick with it. But getting to do that and getting to go to the auditions, getting to be on the sets, getting to be on the studios, that's your reward for putting up with the rest of it. And if you're happy to be blessed and you happen to be lucky and lightning strikes right on your name, you might make it. But but it can happen anytime and anywhere. So don't get discouraged. And if your friend's going out for more auditions than you, don't let it get down because that's them. And it just happens.
It's true. Seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was that's so true. Comparing yourself to others is always hard.
Especially in LA because everybody does it. Yeah. It's impossible not to out here.
Yeah. Because if you live in LA, usually your friends are like in the entertainment industry in some fashion. For actors, it usually tends to be actors. If you're lucky, it's producers. But
yeah, right.
It usually tends to be other actors that you meet in class or on set or whatever.
Typically.
And so, the comparing yourself to others is really difficult. And what are your thoughts on that? Like, how do you avoid doing that? Or let's go a little deeper in that.
It's really hard, especially now today with social media. You know what I mean? It's a lot different. 10, 15 years ago before Instagram and all that, you didn't know what anybody had. You pretty much only knew what you and your buddies had, and you tried to have the best out of that. Now you can see what everybody has, and so it's really hard. So I blame it on that. But time tells all, and it doesn't matter. Who's the luckiest, who's the most talented. At the end of the day, it's those willing to put up with the bullshit. That's it. And at the end of the day, some are willing to come out here and sit through it and suffer through it and go to the auditions and get told no, get rejected, and all that. And they're still standing. And those are the ones that somehow, one of my acting coaches told me, as long as you keep yourself on the field, you can score. But if you take yourself off, you're not going to score. And it's easier said than done. But everybody gets their chance. At some way, somehow, everybody gets a shot. It's everybody's turn. That's one thing I always just tell myself is because I catch myself doing it all the time. I see somebody, I always tell myself, good for that. I try to be, good for that guy. It's his turn. That's it. It's his turn. That's all it is. And my turn's coming. And that's all you got to do. You just got to tell yourself that. Say, it's not my turn yet.
Yeah.
That's it.
One thing that I like to kind of think of it as is like I'm just collecting my no's, because if you have like a certain, like if you're like, oh, I usually book like 1 in 10 or whatever, like if you have like your booking ratio, it's like, all right, I just need 10 more no's and then I'll get one. Right. And sometimes it's not 10, sometimes it's 80.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, 100%.
But it's like
one
more no is closer to yes.
Yeah, and that's the truth though. That's why it's I tell people just keep showing up, just keep doing it. because people remember. People will remember if you show up and you do good at an audition, even if you don't book that, you'll come down the pike and a month from now and you'll get another audition and it'll be the same casting director and it'll be simply because you did great at that audition even that you didn't even get.
It's so
You know what I
true.
mean? You're just the way I look at it is you're trying to make is I say you're trying to make noise. You're trying to make as much noise as possible. So go to those auditions, kill the auditions. Let them know. Make sure they know. Hey, yeah, this is me. By the way, this is me. This is my face. This is what I look like. I killed that audition. Just so you know, next time you got an audition coming around that for somebody, remember this face. Like that's what you're trying to do. Trying to make as much noise as possible because at some point, if you're good enough and you stick with it long enough, somebody's going to listen to it.
Yeah. Um, like you're saying, I think it's about making a relationship with the casting director.
Yeah.
Um, and that's something again that Jack talks about is like you're not there to book the job, you're there to have a relationship with the casting director. And if something is right for you,
They'll remember it.
it's what
They
it's
will remember it.
yeah. Like you're some lady I used to read scenes with was like there your roles are meant for you. Like I can't remember exactly how she said it, but it's like if it's meant to work out, it's gonna work out.
And that's
Like
true.
those roles are just out there for you.
Yeah, and it is, and that's with everything. That's you could take that away from anywhere. You could take that not just acting. That's just life. I mean, there are things that are meant to happen to for you. You just got to put up with the rest of it to get to those moments.
A lot of people think that moving to LA is the big thing,
Right.
and they kind of stop there.
Yeah.
And the thing about being in LA though is that everyone else already did it as well.
Yeah.
So figuring out how to create opportunities for yourself is the name of the game.
Yeah. Getting yourself in the correct rooms is what it's all about. If you can shake the right hands, if you can get in the right rooms, get to the right, parties, whatever it is you got, that's the name of the game. And that's the truth is, yeah, everybody thinks they made it when they get to Hollywood. It's like, no. That's where the line starts. The back of the line is when you get to Los Angeles.
Yep.
You got to get in that line I applaud anybody that makes the move out here because you're somebody that did it. I'm somebody that did it, and that's hard. And that's people think it's just like moving anywhere else. It's not, especially for this industry because it's like you come here guaranteed. It's a lot of people. If you're moving to a city and you're like, I just need a job, well, you just go get a job because you just want to be in the city. But if you're in LA and you want to be an actor, you want to be an artist or whatever, you gotta be here just to be able to look for the opportunities because the opportunities are everywhere. You just got to be able to find them, but they are here. And it's hard to not get distracted because LA is a fun place to be and it can get crazy real quick. And people, I see it all the time. People show up here and they're like, I'm ready to get to work. I'm ready to become an actor and this and that. And then you look like 3 months later and they're just at the clubs all the time. And that's all they do. And then they don't have any money and then they leave. And they're like, well, I didn't make it. It's like, well, you didn't do anything. You were on vacation the entire time you were here.
That's so true.
And that's what it is. You see it all the time. People are like, well, I didn't make it. I'm like, well, I never saw you once in a class. I never heard you once say you were learning. I never heard you once say you were going to casting. Nothing.
Yeah.
But I saw you at the clubs. I saw you at the beach.
Saw you out there on Instagram.
You know what I mean? I saw you out there on Santa Monica. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's like, and that's the truth. And it's and I've fallen, guilty of that 100%. There's definitely been times I've enjoyed the amusement park version of LA that we all come for, that we all experience at some point. But you got to be able to pull yourself back down and say, okay, hey, like you ain't made it yet. Like you're not done yet.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest curses that I could have had, because I had a lot of early like really cool auditions where I like almost booked them, like big things where it's like people would have heard about it type of thing.
Right.
And I think I'm really grateful that I didn't book those jobs because if I would have booked those jobs, my experience of LA would have been totally different. I wouldn't have had to learn how like work ethic. I would have just been like, oh no, it's just like it happens. Like you can just come out here and just get famous. And it's like, no, I'm really grateful I've had to like work really hard on
Yeah.
the things that I have had to do.
Yeah. And it's what it is. You come out here and, you're willing to do whatever you got to do. You're trying to, because that's the things. I had an acting coach told me that one time. It was like, 6 months, like every 6 months, 40 something percent of people or 60% of people that come out here are gone. They leave. They don't make it 6 months and then they're out. And that's because this town is hard to be in. And you hear all the stories of, well, I walked into a bar, I had a couple of drinks, and the guy named Steven Spielberg happened to be sitting next to me, and now I'm in his movie. I'm going to set tomorrow. It's like, yeah, that stuff kind of happens, but I wouldn't bank you coming out to LA on that. And a lot of people do. A lot of people think that's how it works, is that they come out to LA and say, oh, I'm an actor. Oh, you are? Oh, I need an actor. And then you get out here and then you get out here and you realize, oh, everybody's an actor. You know what I mean?
That's true.
That's what it is. But
Yeah, so
it can be
true.
done. And we're bashing on it a lot. But it is a place that you can come out here and be anybody you want to be. There's plenty of freaks out here already. So just let your freak flag fly, let it go. Be you. Nobody will care. Nobody's gonna say nothing. And if they do, we're all fucked up. So
Yeah.
I mean,
I think there's a flip side to what you just said as well. Is like nobody's gonna want to make it for you.
yeah.
It's like come out here, yeah, do whatever you want, but there's a lot of places where you could fall into that have nothing to do with coming, why you came out here.
Yeah, I mean, it's just you get out here. I mean, like I said, even just getting out here and just trying to survive and just living comfortably month to month is hard in LA because it's just you got so many people, things are expensive. Most people that come out to LA that they're really trying to do the acting thing. Well, they're not trying to look at a job to be like for a career. They're looking just for a job to pay the bills, and so it's like you got to find a job like that. Well, you got to find a job that works like that for auditions that you can leave if you need to go do it. Like there's so many things you got to do, and people can't do it. They can't keep track, or they can't keep up, or they just flat out lose it.
That's true. I've been toying lately with the idea of a a second career
Right.
because I do have a job that I spend a lot of time at, and I'm like, I might as well invest that same amount of time in a very fruitful career.
Right.
Because it's not like my friend explained it to me like this. If I have to choose between like acting and some other fruitful career, that's a much better problem to have than paying the bills and pursuing an acting career.
Yeah.
Because that's a win-win no matter what. So if you have to choose between your other career and acting and your priority is acting, you're always going to choose that. But if you're like living month to month, paycheck to paycheck, and your other option is like, taking off a little more time to pursue acting, those are not the same whatsoever, you know?
No, 100%. And that's one of those common misconceptions about out here. It's a tough place, but it as tough as it is, it has a tendency to make gold. You know what I mean? It is what it is, and it's true. And there's just as much, there's more opportunity here than there is most places for anybody.
It's true. Like I've had friends that are just like we'll be catering together or something.
Yeah.
And then the next day they're like a series lead on some huge show, and it's like life-changing type thing. And it's like, really, you just have to be here. You have to be here long enough, knowing the right people. And if you're just putting in the amount of work that you need to, it can happen any day. Like it really can.
That's why I tell people, just keep showing up.
Yeah.
Because you'll never know. Lightning strikes and you didn't even see it. And
yeah.
Coming from somebody who has experienced how fast things pick. I mean, I went for, like I said, I left Easter Sunday of 6th grade to go film that movie. By the first day of 7th grade, I couldn't go into public because I would be mocked anytime I went into anywhere. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing, but that was what, 7 months, 6 months worth of difference. And you look back, what were you doing 6 months ago? Oh, I was doing this. Well, that's how much time went by. And then that flipped for me. You know what I mean? And it's like,
crazy.
It's weird. And it happens just like that. And you look back and you just go, oh, I didn't even notice it. It just showed up. And you just can't say why it happened. You can't say, what was the reason, but you're like, okay, I guess I allotted enough pain and I allotted enough tears and hours, and it clocked in and it worked. And it is worth it. I will say it is worth it, because even though this town, is people are kind of strange here, with people that they know, but it's a fun place to be. And once you get there, you can really start doing some damage and really start making some headway for yourself.
Yeah, that does seem to be the case. So during COVID, did you have a lot of auditions, or was it just completely dead?
I went home. I went back to Texas.
Okay.
There was nothing going on.
Okay.
Because my manager's out of New York, and so I was like, what should I be doing? And she was like, honestly, it doesn't fucking matter. Do whatever you want to do.
Because you got some pretty heavy hitting representation, so I mean they'll know the ins and outs of the industry at any moment, right? So it's not good to hear, but it is comforting to know that like it wasn't just me. I know that's so selfish to like.
They literally were like, I was like, I'm thinking about going home. They're like, yeah, fuck it, do it.
Yeah, I remember there was a trickle right at the beginning of COVID, like from March to August, where they were like trying to do a bunch of like Zoom style movies and stuff, and then after August, it was just like nothing. I didn't get a single audition for that year, basically.
No, basically, yeah.
Until like 2021.
I didn't get one all of 2020 because of that.
Yeah. And like I'm SAG, so I'm not really going out. Like I'm not really trying to go behind their back and being like I could have done non-union stuff, but it's like I don't know. That's a risky line to walk.
You get caught, you're done.
Yeah. So, yeah.
They'll boot you out of SAG for sure.
Yeah. Let's see. Do you know what your booking ratio is? Or do you not worry about that stuff at all?
Care about that.
Okay. Yeah.
I get it, and it is good if it helps some people, and it there is probably some legitimacy to it. I try not to do that too much, because I did used to do that as a kid, because you did hear that. You're like, if you're trying to book 1 out of every 12 out of every 15 you do. Well, that works until you get 15 and it doesn't, and you still haven't got one, and then you go, okay, well it's when you get to 20. Well, then you get to 20 and you didn't do it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's 25. And then with each time you do that, you're building your expectation up.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like you shouldn't feel like you have the role.
That's entitled.
Because then you start going, well, this is my 15th audition.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty much going to book it. So I can half-ass it. I can not do it the right, you know what I mean? Because that will happen subconsciously. You're not even going to mean to do it, but you're going to go, okay, well, the numbers wise, I've had enough, so this should work. And then you just don't do it as well. I feel like if you just take it one at a time and say, hey, look, because and that's why like I said earlier, like your reward for putting up with everything is getting to act, getting those self-tapes. There's a lot of people that are trying to get to that point where you're just getting self-tapes.
Yeah.
And so take advantage of the fact that you're one of those lucky people, because it's only a handful of people that are getting self-tapes just in general. Be happy that you're one of those that is getting it, that is getting an opportunity, and try to kill that one as best as possible. And then I can't stress this enough. This is what I tell people. Once you film the audition and you send it in, or you get it approved by your man, or whatever happens, and it's out of your hands, forget about it. Let it go. That is the most healthy. I'm telling you right now. If it's like you said, if it's meant to be, it will be so. But you sitting around going, oh, well, I've had a bunch of auditions and I haven't booked anything yet, it starts getting at you. But if you go, I had an audition the other day, like me, I had an audition for NCIS 2 weekends ago. I was like, dude, this is a fucking walk in the park. Why my audition didn't get it? Didn't even get a call back.
Damn.
And I literally was like, that's your fucking fault. That's your fault for thinking like that. Because I was like, I don't even have to show up. I could just show up and fucking half-ass this, and didn't get it. Didn't even get the call back. And so I was like, well, damn it, you ruined it. And the problem is that's with a casting director that has started to send me out more, and that pissed me off, because it's like, you screw that up because you think you got it like that, they'll take it right from you. They
I
don't.
definitely fall victim to that a little bit.
Yeah,
Like if I've auditioned for the same casting director like 5 or 6 times, I'm like, all right, this is the one. So then I don't
and I feel
work
that
at,
too.
yeah,
I feel that too. Yeah. I just try not to focus on them, and focus on the numbers because it is a numbers game. And yeah, it's like the more you get, the more more chance you get to book one. But yeah, if you're so caught up on this is how many it's been since I last booked, and this is how, then you start going crazy because then you start getting in your head, and then we all know the things that happen once you go in there. So you know what I mean. So it's like I always just like whatever audition I got right now, I'm
mm,
going to do my absolute best. I'm going to focus on this like I have this, like this is my job, like I've got it. And I'm going to hope and pray it's just enough to get it done, to get the job.
yeah. Nate kind of talked about that as well, like showing up to the audition as if you are shooting the part as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to like auditioning. How hard do you work? Like, okay, so you mentioned working hard on your auditions and like not phoning anything in. So what is that process for you? Because I know you said, um, this, what if I was in this situation, which is a great question. But how do you do more work than that for you personally?
Well, if they send me the whole script for whatever I'm doing, I'm going to read it. Because if I can have the whole story of what's going on, it helps me all that much. Man. Like I said, I'm trying to paint that picture, right? I'm trying to paint as clear of a picture because if I can paint it clear enough, I can step into it. That's kind of the way I look at it. So first thing I'm trying to break down and get any information from it I can get. I'm reading who am I? Who am I talking to? Who are they? All that kind of stuff. What are we doing? What's going on? Where are we? Just extracting as much as I can, trying to just paint the picture. And then once I have a general idea of it, like what's going on, obviously you're doing that while you're memorizing it, obviously. And then, like I said, I paint that picture and then I start looking, okay, let's look at my guy. Let's look at so-and-so. What are we doing? What are we wanting? What's happening? Where are we trying to go? What are we trying to do? Whatever it is. And then I try to put myself, well, I need it because, like I said, this last audition was for NCIS. And it was like, I was there, I was at this uh, drug deal gone bad and a bunch of people got shot and I like ran away. And somehow, the cops got me and I'm over here trying to convince them like, those are my friends that are dead. It's not me. I didn't kill them. Those are my friends. And so like the whole time as I'm trying to put myself in there, what would you do if you're sitting there about and the cops are thinking you killed your best friend? Like, what would you do? And so you just sit there and you put yourself and like, it's you say that and then you kind of realize like, oh, I get why actors go crazy because you're trying to put yourself in these situations. Like, if I got to go to a dark place to get this reaction, then so be it. And sometimes you got to do that. And that's why, it's understandable why some people go crazy. But yeah, I want to put myself in that position, in that mode, in that room as clear as I can and try to just see what comes out. And so I like to break it down. And like I said, I try to just get all the information I can from it and paint the picture.
That makes sense. That's kind of, yeah, that's a cool way to look at it.
But
Um,
I have no idea if that's somebody else could probably get on and say that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I have no idea. Like I said, my dad was my first acting coach, and he's a football coach and a basketball coach. We didn't know anything about it. That's just how I learned.
I mean, it seems like it works.
Right.
Like you probably don't watch your acting and be like, "Wow, I'm really bad."
I
You
don't.
probably
I
go like,
don't
"Oh,
watch
it's
it. I actually don't watch myself much.
never, not even for your self tapes."
I do. So I'll do it like if I'm like, okay, that one's a good one. But like I will not like I've been in Yellowstone, never seen it. Like I never watched it. I never saw it when it came out, or anything like that. I've seen it now, like somebody showed me it on like YouTube or something, but like I just I try to shoot it, but I can always it's because I look at it like an athlete because my dad's a coach. I look at it like watching film and I can see and say, okay, hey, I don't like the way we reacted here. I felt like we could have probably done something more here. That's the way I look at it. I'm constantly critiquing what it could be like. But granted, there are those times when you see it and you're like, damn, that's pretty cool. But like for the most part, yeah, I always get picky and nitpicky and critiquey on what I'm doing. So I'll maybe watch it one time when it comes out and then that's probably I probably won't watch it again unless somebody convinces me to one time or something.
So you find it's kind of the opposite
For
of
me,
athletics. Like with athletics and stuff like that, you do want to know like what you're doing wrong and stuff.
yeah,
But like with acting, it's an art, so it's like you don't want to be constantly in your head while you're doing it,
right,
thinking about like, oh no, I shouldn't have reacted that way. It's just like
yeah.
no, just react how you react.
It's so weird, yeah. And that's the thing is, I think a lot of times I catch myself when I'm like really going at myself for something. It's because I'm seeing it from a different perspective than I was looking at it when we were shooting at it. When we were shooting it, does that make sense? So
Yeah,
like, if I'm seeing it like on screen, I'm like, oh, that's kind of the idea. That's the picture they were trying to create. But that that doesn't happen a whole lot because a lot of times you can really get a good vibe for where things are going. But when I do catch myself in those times, I'm like, I'll kind of get cringy and kind of lay back in my chair. It's just how it is. I don't know what it is. I've always, even since I was a kid, it's been that way. So
yeah, that's tough. The whole watching yourself thing because you're like there is that vanity of like, damn, I want to look good, like I want to,
yeah,
and so it's like, how can I look good? But then that triggers that response of like watching yourself while you're doing it, and it's a vicious
yeah,
cycle of like self-consciousness, and it's like can't be having that.
yeah. It's pretty weird, but occasionally I do. I'm able to watch it and just enjoy it. I do enjoy watching my self tapes.
Yeah,
Oddly enough, I do enjoy watching those. I think because those are like reps. I think those
yeah,
are those are fun to watch get better.
yeah. I can definitely watch my self-tapes pretty detached from them because usually it's such a different environment,
Yeah,
like when you're watching them versus like when you're doing them. So it's like, I don't know. I
yeah,
can I can detach myself pretty well.
yeah.
Um, so you worked with JK Simmons, which
Hmm.
is fucking awesome. Um, what project was that, and how was
Bachelors.
that?
I think it was the Bachelors. I actually think were you not on set one day for background for
I
that?
was background on that one,
Yeah, I
yeah.
was gonna say I think I remember seeing you on set, but I was like,
I was like, Jay, what's up?
yeah, that was that movie. So we were shooting that. And so the Bachelors was about this boy and his dad, JK Simmons, and they moved to this town because the JK Simmons' wife has just died, and so they're moving to this town for a new start. And it's pretty good for him and his son. They start kind of growing together and all that. And I play one of the son's best friends, and I play that weird, nerdy kid, the weird best friend, which always seems to be one of my specialties that I didn't know I had is weird best friend. Apparently, I get that one a lot, that role. And I didn't shoot with JK much. We only had a few scenes together, but I will say it was hilarious because I had never seen Whiplash before. And
What?
so we were gonna shoot. I was shooting with him the next day. It was my first time shooting with him. And this is like a year after Whiplash. So all the rage is still going. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna watch this because everybody's talking about it and I don't want to not know it when I meet this guy. So I watch it the night before I meet him.
Uh-oh.
Exactly what you thought would happen is exactly what happened. I was like, screw that. I'm not talking to that fucking guy. That guy's crazy. I was like, no, that guy's gonna snap me in half. I'm not talking to a word to that guy. And so I got to set and like nervously like walked up and shook his hand. And he was actually the nicest guy in the world. And I was like such a relief because I was so scared.
Hmm.
I was watching that movie. I was watching Whiplash, watching him throw chairs and yell at people. I was like, oh no, I'm not. I was like, this is the worst day of my life. I'm not gonna make that guy pissed.
He's so interesting. Like
He's such
he
a
had that.
he's such a weird character. He's such a cool guy. It was cool working with him though, because we were in the middle of shooting that when they announced he was gonna be Commissioner Gordon for Justice League. Like we were shooting that when
Oh,
that came out. I remember like I had just seen him that day on set. And then like that I saw it on Instagram like that night. I was like, holy shit, like he's about to be Commissioner Gordon and I'm working with him. What? Like it was crazy. And then it was also at the
were you
same
like
time,
texting him, being like, "Hey, buddy"?
like the next day on set, I was like, I cannot believe you're gonna be fucking Commissioner Gordon. He was
That's
like, I
cool.
know, it's gonna be cool. I'm like, but it was also when he came, you remember there was a meme going around where he was doing dumbbell curls with his shirt off, and he was fucking ripped, dude. This is during that too. So I was like, I discovered both of those things while we were shooting this movie. And I was like, it made me think he was just like 10 times cooler because he was always wearing like a suit, so you couldn't tell he was ripped. And it's like he's about to be Commissioner Gordon. It's about to be the dopest thing ever. And him on set is just he's one of those that he just has that aura, just like the Sandra Bullocks and the Will Smiths do. He has that aura of just when I'm here, it's go time and we're ready to go.
He's
And
been doing it so long.
but he's so good, and I'm still a fan. I'm even more so than I was before I met him because he's such a great guy.
Wow.
Just a great guy to meet, great guy to talk to, and I was honored to get to work with him.
Yeah. He seems genuinely cool.
Yeah.
Do you also produce?
I don't. I will direct a little bit. I've gotten into that a little bit, directing things here and there. Producing is never. I don't know. I never, I never knew much about. I don't think I'm a writer either. That those two never really appealed to me. Maybe writing one day when I'm older. Maybe I don't know. It's never really been a thing for me. I love directing. Besides the acting, I love the directing because I love, like I said, because I like to paint the picture, and I love putting a picture together that nobody else painted, and that they see how it came together, and then they can see it clear. I love the idea of that. Being able to have an idea, and it's I think it's like a little bit more challenging than acting, or in some ways, because it's like I don't have a direct impact on it though. I can make a scene. I can only tell them how the scene should go. As an actor, you can make that scene go any direction you want with your attitude, with your tone, all that. You can shift the scene wherever you want it to go. But as a director, your idea is like, hey, I have an idea for how this scene should go, but here's how it needs to happen. I can't do it. Y'all have to do it. And I think that's really cool. And then seeing it work, and then seeing your actor do something you didn't think about. And you're like, oh, that's actually kind of cool. Yeah, let's throw that in, and then, or you see something that maybe you didn't like how it worked with what they did here. So you want to change, being able to do that and make those little critiques. I love that. But producing, I don't know. Producing and writing, I don't know. Those two are, I feel like people that do that kind of stuff are just drawn to it.
Yeah, I think so. I never, I don't know. I don't know if I like think of myself as a writer, but I definitely want to get more stuff made.
Right. And that's kind of how I am. Yeah.
I think I'm slowly moving toward directing. Like it seems like that's kind of where my path is taking me. Is
Right.
like producing stuff, but also learning how to be a director. And so, yeah, but acting and directing seem like they're very kindred type jobs.
Of
Like,
course.
yeah, because I think of film is like a director's medium. So it's like I really feel like if you're directing something, you shouldn't like you definitely need actors, but
Right.
there's a way to like break things down into a shot list where it's like no matter if they fuck it up, like you should be able to make something out of it.
Right.
Because I did this one like short film a while back where I was like the person shooting it, and it just helped so much to actually have the shot list. So no matter what they did, like it was so cut together that it worked really seamlessly.
Right.
But it didn't really matter how the actors did it. Like they could have gone in like a million different directions, and it's like it worked because of how the shots were set up.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's one of those things. There's people that have a gift for that kind of stuff, being able to do that. Um, I don't have that. Like, I don't. I'm not one of those. I can. I can get in front of there and make you feel any emotion you want me to make you feel, or I can get behind and tell you a story. But yeah, as far as making it look good and all that, I don't know anything about that stuff.
Dude, I love movies, man.
Yeah,
Movies are so cool.
it's really cool being able to tell story because, like, at the end of the day, it's like it's very simple. It's a very simple thing. There's like it's people that just enjoy making videos. They just have a lot more money to do it.
That's
Literally it.
a good way to put it.
You know what I mean?
Funny.
the same people that like to go out and shoot things on their phones, like it's the same thing. They just, instead of doing it with their iPhone, they have the money to be able to do it on $200,000 cameras. That's the only thing. Like,
That's such a good way to put it.
At the end of the day, they're just doing the same thing you're doing. They're just making videos. They're telling stories.
That's that's a fun way to look at it. I love that. What would you say are like your career habits? I know me and Wade, this the last guest that I had, we talked about how he's usually submitting for a couple of hours a day, or like he's like just certain things that he does during the day to pursue his career. Are there things that you do that you feel contribute directly to your career, or is it more just you kind of let it come to you and whatever will be will be?
So I mean, I do a little bit of both. I'm really working. I feel that like the more I work on myself, the better my acting seems to come out. I've noticed. And so I've put, mental health and all that kind of stuff. It's at the forefront of my mind, and it's something I'm constantly working on. Stuff I'm trying to grow, because, like I said, to be able to go to some dark places, like you have to sometimes. You got to be able to be okay with yourself to be able to pull yourself back out, because it's really hard not to. So that's a big focus on me. I work on it every day. I journal. I'll write, even if I get in there and write 3 lines, and it's, today sucked. I ate Cheez-Its and watched, South Park all day. Didn't really feel good. If that's all I write, that's all I write. But then there's sometimes I'll write, hey man, today I feel great. And I'll go back and I'll read stories from the past, and it helps me, and then I can tell it when I feel things. I'll put it on the paper, and then I can tell when I'm doing acting, it comes out. So I do that, but I'm always trying to stay on top of my reading and all that kind of stuff, trying to learn more about, acting. I've done tons of workshops. I do all that kind of stuff. I'm a big, like I said, I connect it to sports. So I'm like, you got to stay in the gym. You got to keep working out if you want to keep getting better. So like I take classes, I take shops, and I do all that. But mostly my manager kind of handles my submitting and stuff like that. So I kind of luck out. I don't have to worry too much about that. But another big thing, it's a thing I hate doing, but it's like we've come to a point in day and age where we have to do it, is you got to work on your social media. You got to work on your content. You got to be growing. And that's hard. That shit is hard. And I hated that that's become part of it, but it has. And that is the area I suck at the most.
I'm just getting into it.
It's because it's a full-time thing. That in itself
really is. And
I'm just now learning that, and I'm just now starting to get to where I can kind of put things together and go in here. But yeah, man, that's a big one for me, is I'm trying to learn that and get better at that. Like I said, you're just trying to make noise.
Yeah, that's a big concept that I've been trying to like drill into my head lately, and like really take the actions toward that, like what you're saying. Right. It's like you don't have an acting problem. Nobody knows who the fuck you are.
Right.
Like that's like the big idea that I've been having, is like, if somebody likes, let's say that I'm a terrible actor. Let's like imagine that I'm the worst actor in the world. There are movies that need bad actors.
Yeah.
But they don't know that I exist. You know what I mean? So it's like I have a much more of a nobody knows who the fuck I am problem than an acting problem.
Right.
And like what you're saying is like social media.
And that's the same thing. It's like, well, it's like you said earlier, you said that you got from one of your teachers, your roles are meant for you. Right? Well, somebody's writing that role. Somebody's writing that story right now. And they have no idea who they're putting there. But you got to get in front of their face. You know what I mean? You got to let them know, hey, I'm the fucking guy. I'm the guy you're looking for. This is me. This is who you're looking for. The guy you're writing about right now, that's me. But they don't know that.
Because I'm over here with, thinking that I'm going to get the part just living in my living room.
Right. And that's like, what people do. Yeah. It's like, get out there, get your face out there, get your name, let them see, let them, do the role, do the audition, fuck up a couple of times in it. You'll let it be, be directable, be coachable. People remember all that stuff.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. So you mentioned acting class, and I keep coming back to this. What are some ones that you've liked? I know you've been here a while.
So I mostly started doing I did UCB and I've done Second City. I've done those, some more of improv workshops. I've done a couple of acting. I worked with Andrew McGarry Simply Acting. I worked for him a while. Did some classes with him. I did some classes with I can't remember the name of the other one. There's a couple I've been through. It's bothering me. I can't remember the other one. Damn.
Yeah.
But I've done a few. But again, it's like I said, it's like the gym. You gotta be working out. And I love the improv because I've always been pretty good at being kind of quick on my feet, whatever. But this has made it even better because once you start getting up into the higher levels, you start running into people that are really freaking good at it. You know what I mean? And then you start wanting to be just as good. And that's one of those things that they tell you is those casting directors, they pay attention to how far you are in those programs and how high up and how they pay attention to all that. And so it's good because you're getting your rep up and you're making friends and you're getting better. And those are all good things for this.
Yeah. I agree with that as well. I know I talked to Jack, I keep mentioning him. We talked a little bit about community and finding your community and things like that and going to like these like shows and stuff, connecting with the people that are actually doing the shows and whatnot. But for me, it's like I just want to be doing all of it. Like I don't need to be like limiting myself to like, oh, I can't do classes because there's somebody in an authority that like is telling me I'm doing it wrong or whatever.
Right.
But then again, it's like I can't just be going to like just shooting stuff on my phone because for me, when I'm in a class, everybody's trying to be the best that they can. And I really thrive in that environment of like, let's be the best actors that we can be. And it doesn't mean that like the coach is going to be like, oh my God, you did amazing. But it's the desire, I feel like,
Right.
of progressing. Like you said, the gym where I really do feel like the classes where you like sharpen your tools and you fuck up. Like you're allowed to just fuck up. But if you're on set, you really should be using only the tools that you know work for you.
Right.
Unless you get like several takes where it's like you got a director that's like, we got time, like go do your thing. It's like I really feel like you should like professionalism is built into putting the reps in class.
100%.
Because if you're putting your work in front of people, I feel like that is your presentation of like, this is what I have worked on.
I agree. And that's why it's a vital thing. I think that's why, even if you're like one of those anti-class, like I said, like I've taken a lot of classes and I don't when I'm doing characters, I don't really look at them the same way they look, like they break them down in class. But it's still good because you still do pick up on things, and you still do learn things. And the funnest part for me is like I said, once you get to high enough, you start running into people that are really good at it, and they make you get better, or you're just the worst one. And you know what I mean? It's either way. It's you're gonna go one way or the other. You're either gonna start improving rapidly, or you're just gonna flunk out because they're just clearly better than you. And so it's kind of cool. You get to challenge that, and you get to get pushed a little bit, which is good for you.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I'm glad to hear your thoughts on that. Because yeah, you've worked quite a bit on like some really high profile things, so it's good to know your thoughts on that. You said comedy is kind of something that comes naturally to you. How do you feel about drama? Like, have you had to work on that, or like?
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely. I work on all aspects. Even comedy. Like while I'm doing improv, that's a big comedy thing. Yeah, drama it's fun and I do enjoy it. But yeah, it didn't come to me as naturally as comedy did. Comedy just my timing and all that just seemed to kind of just come naturally, and how I do things. It's just my personality. But drama, yeah, it was definitely something, because it's like I said, the way I do it is you're trying to put yourself in these situations. Well, if you're a kid and you've not been put in that situation, you don't know how to find something that's even closely to remote it, to kind of relate it to that. So you're just, as a kid, a lot of times I feel like you're just spitballing. So that's what it felt like as a kid. A lot of times doing dramatic stuff is because I was like, I don't get what's going on in the story. I don't know why I'm supposed to be scared. There's nothing happening here. Like I don't get it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it wasn't until you get a little older and you start having some experiences and you start going, oh, okay, I get why this sucks. I get why this
Mm.
guy. I get why this guy's doing this. And so
Yeah.
I tell people just get experiences and that helps you. But yeah, it really helped me. With drama, is just going through shit.
Because as a 12-year-old, it's like
Like yeah, like you don't have
I'm not paying bills.
like yeah, like that's what I tell people that like that was what would bother me is people. I'd always get in trouble. They're like, why can't you cry? And this is scary. I'm like, I'm sitting in a living room. We're reading this on a script. I have school tomorrow. I don't care about any of this. You know what I mean? It's like, there's nothing on my mind right now. Like, there's nothing important. And then you get a little older and you have some experience and you can kind of put that two and two together and start going from there. So those kids, you see some of those kids that can do it at such a young age. I'm like, gosh, y'all are either really talented or y'all have had some fucked up shit happen. Or both.
I feel like kids are able to kind of just let it go a little bit more
Yeah.
because they don't have that stress.
Yeah. That's yeah, it's really cool. It really impresses me when I see younger kids that can really go down to some of those levels because it's hard for as an adult, but as a kid who hasn't really gone through much or experienced much, that's very impressive to me.
Yeah. Here's a cool little idea that I heard recently. So this guy I watch on YouTube, he has a acting channel. He said he always feels that he has a much higher chance of booking a job if he turns his audition in early. I was wondering if you thought there's any relation with that or
Honestly, I would say I would say there's some truth to that because realistically, you're probably only gonna have to audition against 15 people, maybe 20. So if they watch 8 self tapes and they're like, hey, we like this guy, this guy, this guy. Well, they're probably not going to watch many more to pick many more people they like. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
if you're sending it, you want to be one of those first 10 they're watching. You know what I mean? And that unless you luck out and you send it in late and they've not really found anybody and then you come blow them away, then obviously, but I wouldn't bank on that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's not very repeatable.
I would say you would definitely want to get it in early because like every self tape. This one a producer told me this one time. Every time somebody comes to the audition room or every time they click play on the self tape that they're gonna watch, they're hoping you're the fucking guy. They're not hoping you don't get it. They're not hoping you
Yeah.
suck. They're hoping ball. They're hoping. I really hope this fucking guy does good enough so that I can not watch the rest of these fucking 18 tapes where the guy's gonna say the same thing.
That's
You
a
know what I
good
mean?
way to put it. Yeah.
You're like, think about it if it was you. And you're like, dude, I got to watch 20 fucking dudes all do this self tape. 15 of them are going to do it this exact same fucking way. 4 of them are going to do it pretty good. Maybe one of them is going to kill it. You know what I mean? And then you're going to watch 10 of them and go, yeah, these fucking suck. Okay, well, I found 3 guys we like. Let's not even watch the fucking rest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there you go. They picked and they didn't even get to your tape. So yeah, I would say definitely, because and that's kind of cruel when you say it's kind of fucked up, but that is how it will. That is how 100% it would work. They 100%
Yeah.
will not want they'll watch the rest of them maybe to humor you, but if you don't kill it in the first 10 seconds, they're going to turn that shit off.
Yeah.
If they watch so many, they're like, I don't want to watch any more of these.
I'm gonna try to have a couple casting directors on the show at
You
some
should.
point to talk about it. I was watching this interview between 2 casting directors interviewing each other recently, and they were like, "Well, how does your process go?" Right? And they were basically saying that the actual casting director, and this might just be them, and like
Right.
if you're a casting director out there listening, email me, text me, or comment on my Instagram that I'm totally wrong. But they were basically saying that their assistant or they would have somebody field like the hundreds of them or like the higher number. They'd send on to them about 40 maybe that they really liked. Then the casting director would go through those and be like, yes, these are the ones, then send those on to the director, and then the director would pick who they want to bring in. So really, if you're not doing it exactly like everybody else, you're probably really only competing against 5 people.
That's what I'm saying.
If you're not doing it like trying to just one of my acting coaches calls it paper pleasing. where you just do it exactly the way it's written, and actually like bring in some of your personality into the role. But yeah, there's a like I think we think we're competing against so many people,
Yeah.
but in reality, it's like 5 or 6 really good people,
Yeah.
and then
It's
the
like,
rest just falls into noise.
that's what I tell you. That's what I'm saying. Is like if you got 20 people coming in, like I said, 12 to 15 of them probably are not going to do very good. They're probably going to be unmemorable.
Yeah,
4 out of those guys are going to do probably pretty good. But there's probably only going to be about 3 guys that you're like, okay, those guys,
like they're really living it.
they get it.
Yeah,
They get what we're doing. And that's it. So you want to be one of those guys. And a lot of times they'll go, okay, well, we like these 5 guys. We can't decide. And then you get a call back. And then you're like, all right, now we're going to now you're going to restructure. Now you're going to hope, now you're going to think one of these guys is probably going to do it the exact same way he did it, if not 2 of these guys, which, because a lot of people do that the exact same way, which is good. Some guy's going to maybe fuck it up completely. You know what I mean? And then 1 or 2 guys probably going to do pretty good.
yeah,
Probably going to give a solid tape. And that's like the way you got to break it down. You got like realistically, you're like, I got to beat 5 fucking people. I can beat 5 people. I could say these. I could come up with a way to channel this feeling better than 5 people. That's just the mindset you got to have.
that's true. Oh, and this is another big one. They were saying that about half of everybody that they requested self tapes from, about half of them don't even turn the tape in.
Yeah. See.
So it's like you got this huge pool of people that's whittled down to like 5 people that actually show up, which goes back to the very beginning of the podcast. Just fucking show up.
That's it, man.
Maybe they're looking for a bad actor.
You have no idea. That's the thing is like they don't have any idea what they're looking for necessarily until they see it. Like a perfect example is me when I did a few episodes on Friday Night Lights when I was 9.
Dude, I wish I could have done that show.
Yeah,
Man, that's awesome.
yeah. Like I did that when I was like 9 or 10, and originally when I went in and read for that role, the character was a fat kid who easily pick onable. You know, wasn't really into sports, and something else that was weird. And so I showed up to the audition, and I was the only kid that wasn't fat there. I was the only kid that wasn't fat. And I got in there, did the audition, and they said, "Hey, actually, we changed our mind. We don't want him fat. We want him small and scrawny, and we want him to know everything about sports." Him, and they picked me. Like they completely changed the character because they don't know what they want till they see it. You know what I mean? They have an idea. We want somebody to be this guy, but they don't know what that looks like. They have an idea because they have the paper. Here's what it looks like on paper. Here's who we're looking for on paper. Who the best brings that out in real life? Who can come in here and say, "That's me. This is my story," blah blah blah, and make me believe them. That's what. Yeah. That's it at the end of the day. Because, like I said, like I went to that Friday Night Lights audition because it happened to be in Austin. It's the only reason I got that audition, and I lived in. It was the only reason because they were like, it films in Austin and it casts in Austin. Do you want to go? They haven't really found anybody for this role yet. Would you want to go read for it? Well, that's sure. Awesome. It's in Austin, it's an hour away. Yeah, let's go read for it. And I got a call back, and 2 days later, I booked it. And that set off everything else. I got Hancock because of that.
Oh yeah, you did Hancock too. I forgot about that.
I got that from Friday Night Lights because
oh damn,
he directed that. He directed both of those, and so he remembered me from Friday Night Lights, and he came down the pike with Hancock, and he said, "Hey," he reached out to my team and said, "Hey, we need him, like we need that kid."
That's so sick, man.
You know what I mean, and that's how it happens. You just show up and you do your best. You just keep showing up, and you show up even when you don't think you got it. You do it because they don't know what they're looking for. They have an idea. They have it on paper, but they don't know what they're looking for. And so when you show up and present it to them, here I am, and it's actually good. It's actually what they're looking for. That's it. They'll cast you. They're not hoping you fuck it up. That's a big thing. Is casting directors make it and producers kind of make it scary. You go into those rooms, and sometimes they're fucking like it's a corporate meeting, and you're about to get whacked. You know what I mean? Like that's how it feels. Yeah. Like there's that tenseness. But in the back of their mind, and so that's what it feels like. You're like, oh shit, they're hoping I fuck up. They're waiting to yell at me. It's like, no, they're hoping you kill this shit so they can go home and do whatever it is they were doing. Because they don't want to see, again, it goes back to they don't want to sit here and watch 40 people do the same thing. Next. Yep, he forgot the one next. Like they don't want to do that. They want one person to come in there, kill that shit, and then go, yeah, this is undoubtedly who you want.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And like you said, you'll get the role that you're going to find that. You just got to you got to go through enough of the roles that you don't fit, that you don't like, that you just got to go through those. And at some point, you're going to start getting the auditions of the characters you're good at and you want to be with and you want to be playing. And it'll show because you love doing it and because you got the talent to do so.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, those meetings when the producers are there are fucking terrifying.
It is scary because you're in these big buildings. They're in offices. It's not on a set. It doesn't look like a fun place to be. But at the end of the day, that's what's in their mind is like, I really hope this fucking guy does a great job. We can say he's the guy and we can go fucking home. Like I've talked to him. That's what they dead at. That's what they say. Like we don't want to watch that. We don't want to watch 30 people come in here and do it the same way. And a lot of people do. And so it's like, let that go. When you walk in, I always like to take it as like, dude, like have fun with it because somebody's going to get to watch you act today. Like, and that's a cool way to think about it. You know, because I don't know, maybe I'm the only crazy actor that always is doing voices and, you know, that stuff and like this, you know, just as I'm going around, you know, I'm always doing, you know.
You have such a uniqueness to you.
Yeah, I'm a weird. I'm weird. I don't know.
No, you're really not that weird, but you have such a uniqueness to you that how could it not come through in your characters?
Right.
You know, so if they want Jay, they want Jay.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So
I feel like I'm so similar to like every other dude in Hollywood that I'm like, man, what can I fucking do?
I feel that.
Because I've made it all the way to like the chemistries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's like, bro, I have not. It's like that last. And I know it's going to happen, but it's that last audition that it's like, I'm trying to separate myself from like being almost the guy to the guy.
Yeah. And that's what it is. And, you know, the way I don't know, you know, the way I look at it, and this is with everything, I'm weird. My mindset is like, life is always going to give you a little bit of it just to let you taste it, to see if you're willing to come back for more.
Yeah. It gave me shivers.
Because right? Because between each of those tastes, you're going to get punched a lot. And then they're going to give you a taste of it. And then they're going to hit you again. And then they're going to give you another taste. And at some point, 90% of motherfuckers are gone.
Bro.
I don't want it anymore. It doesn't taste good enough for me to stand here anymore. It doesn't taste good enough. You know what I mean? And so the bigger they get, the better the tastes get. You know, the more they're giving you, you're getting to you know, I was screen tested for it. The chemistry tests, final call. I did all that. And that's just to take that. Just because they're giving you that, you better watch out because there is a fist coming. You better watch out. They're about to catch one. But if you get socked a couple of more times and you get back up, you're probably going to have something pretty good standing in front of you and you're ready to eat.
Ready to eat?
You know what I mean? Like,
dude, you're giving me goosebumps for real. Like, I don't know if the camera can actually see this, but yeah.
But that's the way I tell people is like, you got to be willing to have a little taste and then get hit a little bit.
Dude, the best feeling in the fucking world is being on set.
Yeah, and it is. And
the best.
The best. I love it. It's just it feels like you're in a whole other world.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Like you can do anything.
Literally.
Like I don't know how to explain it.
It's one of those feelings. But you got to earn that feeling because there's a lot of people coming out to LA saying they want to be actors. We see that every year. But it'll weed those out real quick between who wants to be here and who doesn't.
Who can pay the bills?
Yeah. And that's like, who can stay alive? And that's the thing I tell people is like, you got to be able to stay alive, which is hard enough out here.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to be able to stay focused. It's like what we talked about earlier. People get caught up in the Los Angeles factor and the Hollywood factor. They're gone. But you got to be able, like I said, you got to be able to keep survival at bay and still say, okay, but while I'm fighting this, we're still chasing this.
Yeah.
Because some people put all their focus into just surviving. That, you know, and then you look up, you've been here for years and you don't even go auditions. You don't even go, you're not trying to get representation, not doing any of it because you just, so much of your time is caught trying to survive. And that's when people like, that's when it's probably a good idea for you to get out, is if you're having to put so much focus and you don't want to focus on acting at all. It's probably time for you to call it quits, because there's nothing wrong with that. If you reach to a point where you're just like, hey man, like it's not it, then that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. You can still make your content, still do all that, but just know that it ain't sweet. It's you know what I mean. It's bitter out here for a while before it gets sweet.
Yeah, man. It's good to hear you talk about this stuff too, because it gives me a lot of hope to like
Oh yeah, no.
just to be reminded, you know.
And I mean, I tell that's all actors. And a lot of people don't know. Harrison Ford was an actor forever. Forever he studied. He wrote and read stories and read books, studied everything, wanted to be an actor, and he didn't get his shot till he was in his 30s. He just didn't. He was a carpenter. He was a contractor. He didn't. That's what he did, and then happened to book movie with George Lucas. And a year later, he's like, "Hey, I'm filming another movie. It's a space movie. It's a sci-fi movie. Want to know if you want to be this smuggler guy?" And now he's fucking Han Solo.
What a
You know what I mean?
What a story that guy lived.
You know what I mean? There's probably a lot of times that guy wanted to be like, "Nah, fuck this. I'm done. I don't want to be here. I don't want to live here anymore." The people, there's probably a lot of times. But like I said, if you keep yourself on the field, you're gonna score. Everybody gets their turn. Sometimes people, and the hard thing is sometimes people show up in LA and they get their turn within the first year they're here, and some people don't get it until their second, third decade. It is what it is. There's no rhythm or rhyme to it, but time tells all. And truly talented actors, the ones that want to be here and the ones that want to be making art, they're gonna find a way. They're gonna figure it out. And the ones that don't, the one that wanted to be famous, the ones that just wanted to be rich, that they will phase out, because that shit's not strong enough to keep you out here to put up with everything.
Yeah. And also adding on to that is like we were talking about different ways you can get distracted. It's like I'm also realizing more and more that like modeling is not necessarily acting. You can turn it into an acting career. Instagram influencer is not necessarily acting. Could be. You could turn it into a career, but it's like those people that are really on the grind with, classes, workshops, meeting the right people, going to the right places, like getting in front of casting directors, making a good impression. You could be doing modeling, Instagram, all that, and never even get the opportunity because you thought that's what acting was.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's its own thing. And fortunately, we do live in a day and age where it is a lot easier. It's a lot, people are a lot more accessible because of social media. You can put an entire presence on there so people know everything about you, which can really work in your favor.
Yeah.
Because it is a big thing, whether we want to believe it or not, social media, if you build a big enough following on social media, people start listening, you can start, taking it to that avenue. But that's hard. And that's a tough thing because everybody's trying to do it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I see like, this is funny. Like I see the casting directors on my page,
Yeah.
Like it's cool when you start seeing like those people show up like, oh, what's he doing? Like they're watching the stories and it's like, you never know who's actually looking out for you.
You never know. You never know who's watching. You never know who's looking. And the thing I always like to remind myself, because there are times I get down and I'm like, I'm never, fucking, the thing I always try to remind myself is there's people writing new stories every day.
Yep.
There's new stories, new universes being opened, new chapters, everything. People we're going to forever be, it's an art where we're going to forever be making it.
Yeah.
And so everybody can win. Everybody can get a turn. But you're going to have to be willing to go through that shit. You're going to have to be willing to just be okay with getting a taste of it here and there and be willing to get socked in the mouth with a whole bucket of no. Because you're going to get that. You're going to get no, you don't fit this role. No, we don't want you. No, not this time. No. And then you keep showing up. Somebody, somewhere, somehow is going to say, all right, you know what? Screw it. Let's do it.
Yeah, man. I love that. Dude, I'm so glad I got to talk to you.
For sure, brother.
Thanks for doing it.
I've had a good time. Absolutely.
Good, man. I know this is kind of the stuff you love talking about anyway,
I
so
love
it's
it. I love
yeah.
it.
So here's my final question. This is like a recurring question. Um, what are some things they don't tell you? Oh wait, no, that's the wrong one.
Yeah.
My bad. If you could go back and do it all over again, what would you do sooner? What would you leave out completely? And what would you blow up? What would you do like 10x more of? It's a three-parter, and if you need me to
Yeah.
say it again, I will.
No, yeah, I might have to. But
Yeah, it's okay.
I would say, if I could go back, even, to the Blindside days, I would tell myself the same thing that I tell people today is nobody has all the answers. There's no perfect way.
Yeah.
There is no, it's just a feeling, and it's hard to explain it. It's once you can put yourself in there and get into that flow state and just let it come out naturally, that's when your best work will come out. And you can't force it. No class can teach it. It's just you got to be able to let go. And that's the thing I was, my whole life I was always uptight and always wanted to have so much control over everything. And you realize nobody's got the answers and nobody has control over shit. You know what I mean? Like, we don't, and so you're just trying to go. And so I would tell myself, just, it's okay to fuck it up. You know what I mean? Nobody has it all right. Nobody has it all. And then what I would stop, I would stop trying to worry so much about those that have nothing to do with me or who I'm going to be or the things I'm trying to accomplish. The people that have nothing to do with that, the outsiders, they're spectators. Or if you know what, if we're all actors, those are extras. You know what I mean? And unless you let the extra talk, he's not gonna have anything to do to the story. So if that's my thing, is don't let those outsiders, don't let those people that have no say in what happens in the story dictate anything you do. Because that's a big thing we all struggle with, is we struggle with the outsider voices and listening to the judgmental from people, and all that. I would tell people, don't let that go, because that's a big thing. I would I wish I could have told myself that younger. And something that I would go 100% on is just watching more movies. Just watch movies you wouldn't expect yourself to watch. Because it's weird. Movies that you don't expect that you're gonna like, and then you end up fucking loving them. Those are the movies you connect with more than any.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those movies that you were excited about, like, don't get me wrong, they're great. But the movies you had no idea about that you went and watched, and you're like, holy shit, that was a great movie. Like, that's what you want to feel. That's why people go to the movies, is to feel that feeling.
Yeah.
And so it makes you want to be a better actor when you can see things like that, when you make yourself have that feeling.
Dude, yes. Yeah, that's
Study
awesome.
more. Like, it's what you're studying. It's what it is. You're studying,
Yeah.
So,
That's
that's
awesome.
my big thing. It's just keep going. Unless they are supposed to dictate something in the story, don't worry about what they say. You know what I mean? Because everybody's got an idea. I mean, everybody's got an opinion. You know what I mean?
Yep.
My favorites is, it's like that. Everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's got a thing you should do, or a thing you should say, or a reason you should do this. But at the end of the day, if they're not contributing to the story and helping the story go where you want that story to go, get them the fuck off of it.
Yeah.
Like, literally.
Fuck yeah. All right. Well, thank you for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. We'll probably do a follow-up like later on.
Oh yeah, I'm down. I'm always down, dude.
Cool, man.
Reach out.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening. Any closing thoughts, or is that?
I think I got it. I think I kind of left it on a good note there.
Perfect. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. Catch us next time. We got a lot of awesome stuff coming, so we'll see you next time. Bye.